Okay, so let me ask you something. How clearly can you see things? But I mean, inside your own head. It sounds like a simple question, right? But the answer is actually super complex, and it opens up this whole world about how differently our minds can work.
All right, let's try a quick little experiment together. Go ahead, close your eyes for me. Now, I want you to picture an apple, a nice, crisp red apple. Can you actually see it? Can you see its shape, how the light kind of shines on its skin? Maybe there's a little green leaf still on the stem. Really try to bring that image up. Got it? Okay, hold on to that. Now, this is probably going to sound wild, but for millions of people, the answer to what do you see is, well, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Their mind's eye is just blank. It's not that they don't know what an apple is. They can describe it perfectly. They just can't see a picture of it in their head. So yeah, there's a name for this. And believe it or not, it's got a history that goes back way further than you'd probably guess. We're talking about a really fundamental difference in how we all experience our own thoughts. It's called aphantasia. Pretty simple, right? It comes from the Greek word phantasia, which means imagination. And that A at the front, it just means without. But here's the super important part. It's not a disorder. It's not an illness. It's just a different way of thinking. So how common is this? Well, estimates are around 3 to 4% of the population. That's millions and millions of people. And what's really crazy is that so many of them have no idea they're different. They can go their whole lives just assuming everyone's mind is blank like theirs. And this isn't some new thing scientists just stumbled upon. They actually noticed this way back in the 1880s. But then, nothing. The idea just kind of went dormant for like a century. It wasn't until 2003, when this one patient lost his ability to visualize after a surgery, that it sparked a whole new way of interest. And then finally, in 2015, a neurologist named Adam Zeman officially gave it the name we use today, aphantasia.
Okay, but here's where it gets even more interesting. It's not just, an on-off switch. It's not like you either have it or you don't. Think of it more like a dimmer switch, a huge spectrum of imagination that we all fall on somewhere.
So on one end, you've got aphantasia, that totally blind mind's eye. But on the other end of the spectrum, you have something called hyperphantasia. And these folks, wow, they see images in their head that are as vivid and as real as watching a movie. Most of us, we're somewhere in the middle in what they call phantasia, with images that can be kind of fuzzy or pretty clear. So you're probably wondering, how on earth do you even measure this, right? I mean, it's all in our heads. Well, scientists have a tool for it. It's called the VVIQ, the Vividness of Visual Imagery Questionnaire. It's basically a test where they ask you to picture things, like a sunset, and then you rate how clear that picture is for you, on a scale from I see nothing, all the way up to it's like I'm really there. Okay, so this is all cool, but does it really matter? Does where you are on this spectrum actually change how you go through life? Well, the science is pretty clear on this one, and the answer is a big yes. A huge study from the National Institutes of Health found some really tangible impacts. For example, people with aphantasia often say their own memories feel different, less detailed, almost like they're reading a list of facts about their life instead of reliving the moment. They also say they have a harder time recognizing faces. And get this, it even seems to influence what careers people choose. Aphantastics are more likely to end up in science and math, while hyperphantastics often lean towards creative fields. And it doesn't stop there. That same study found some fascinating links to personality, too. The group with aphantasia tended to be a bit more introverted, while the hyperphantasia group scored higher on being open to new experiences. It really suggests that the world inside our heads might actually shape how we act in the world outside.
But here's the twist, and it's a big one. Even with all these differences in how they experience their memories, when you give them a standard objective memory test, everyone performs pretty much the same. So what does that mean? It means aphantasia changes the feeling of a memory, the sensory experience, but not your ability to actually remember the facts.
Okay, this all leads to a really practical question, right? How in the world do you motivate yourself if you can't picture your goals? I mean, we've all heard it a million times, right? If you can imagine it, you can achieve it. Every motivational speaker talks about visualization. Picture yourself crossing that finish line. Picture that big promotion. But what if you can't? What if that tool just isn't in your toolbox? And what's really interesting is that for people who can visualize, it can actually be a double-edged sword. having a powerful imagination isn't always a good thing.
Think about this. There was an elite marathon runner who was huge on visualization, but one day he had a small trip during training. No big deal, right? Wrong. His powerful imagination completely turned on him. Suddenly, all he could picture over and over was himself falling during the actual race. His greatest strength became his biggest enemy. It just goes to show a vivid mind's eye can make you picture failure just as clearly as success.
So if picturing things isn't the answer, or can even be a problem, what do you do? Well, the Aphantasia Network has these 3 amazing strategies that honestly work for everyone. First, start with why. Instead of a picture, connect to your purpose. Feel it. Second, get 1% better each day. Focus on the small, daily improvements. The process becomes the motivation. And third, focus on what you control. It's a very stoic idea. Worry about your actions, not the outcome.
What this all boils down to is that real, lasting motivation doesn't have to come from a picture in your head. It can be built on something way more solid, right? Like your purpose, your daily process, and your own actions. And those are things we can all tap into, no matter what our mind's eye looks like. So this whole spectrum, from aphantasia to hyperphantasia, it's so much more than just a cool fact. It's this incredible reminder that we all experience the world so differently. There's no one right way to think, or to remember, or to dream, which really just leaves one big question for you to think about. What does your inner world look like?